Hi, I'm Danya,
And I'm Shaheen.
and you're listening to or watching
Reality Woo Woo.
It's Not Something to Believe in.
It's something to talk about.
And on today's episode, we're talking about vibes, which seems it seems so like broad, but at the same time, it's an important topic,
Vibey.
I think.
Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, it's trending.
It's trending.
Vibes are trending.
But it's also, the reason I want to get into it is that it's important to understand A, like what the fuck vibes are, and B, like there's important information in vibes. Like we shouldn't just be like, oh, vibes are like some funny shit we talk about on Instagram. Like, no, vibes are real. And
Vibes are real.
Vibes are real, and we need to trust.
Create a baseline. We need to create a baseline for vibes so that people can understand.
Exactly. Like I know sometimes when we talk about stuff, it can be a little bit scary, but that's like the whole purpose of this podcast. We're giving you information so that you can be like, you know what? I like that. I'm gonna cherry pick this. I'm gonna pull that in. If you don't fucking like it, skip it. That's fine. We don't care. We don't care.
Yeah, but learn first. Can't knock it till you try it.
Exactly. Like let's give you the info. And the reason we want to it's March, and so we want to, plug into that other trend of lucky girl syndrome. We want to talk a little bit about manifestation. And these two things are really connected. So, yeah.
We should also do a March of Madness episode. Just
for sure. Yeah.
Something to go back to.
Yes.
I'm kind of into this astrology meets mask bro culture, whatever the topic.
100%. We're definitely going to do the NBA finals. Is there any NASCAR thing that I'm kidding. That's definitely
Might
not.
As well.
Just throw it in.
I don't know if that audience cares about our show.
No, definitely not. That's not our target demographic. Okay. So like generally, what are vibes? What do you, when you hear the word vibe, Shaheen, like what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think about being in like a meeting where someone said something and no one knows why, but everyone feels a reason, a thing.
Okay. So you're
that's
like
what vibes is.
Fight
when
or
you can't
flight.
Really explain. Yeah, I guess. Vibes are something that I feel. It's not something that I experience or could like point at and say like, oh,
that's
it's
the
more
vibe.
Like yeah.
No, for sure. I think, and that's like that's a great example of like what a vibe is. Vibes are energy. That's what vibes are.
Yeah.
They're energy. And, literally everything in our universe is made up of energy. So that's why
Science.
That's science. That's real. You can Google that. We are not making that up, and in physics, this is like a quote from the Wikipedia page on what energy is. Energy is the quantitative property that is transferred to a body or to a physical system. And this is key. So I included this. It's recognizable in the performance of work and in the form of heat and light. So what is that like? Let's break that down into like layman's terms.
The performance of work. Wow. Sounds
right.
Like some like business onboarding deck.
It's the performance of work. So the performance of work is like like motion, right? But what that definition said is that it's recognizable to science as light and heat. That means those are the only ways we've figured out how to measure energy thus far. That doesn't mean you can't feel it in other ways, is what I'm giving you, is what I'm saying to you. What I'm just like suggesting, but is true. The other, let's see, Albert Einstein said everything in life is a vibration. Like Einstein was vibing. He literally
the original vibing. Gen Z.
The OG, he was like, really. Everything's a vibe.
That's where that quote comes from. Everything's a vibe.
Everything's a vibe. It comes from Albert Einstein. What else? Okay, we know that energy can also not be created or destroyed. That, like, again, going back to science, is like it can't be It can't disappear, but it can be shifted. So that's key as we talk about vibes. You cannot make the energy of the room like clear out. And like woo-woo people, we say, oh, I'm going to clear the energy. You can't clear the energy, actually. That's a misnomer. You can't sage your way through it. You can't Palo Santo your way through it. You can't actually like cleanse the space of energy. What you're doing is you're transmuting the energy. You are changing it.
Alchemy. Oh, interesting. I never thought of it that way, because I'm always like, clear away.
Yeah, you're like,
bye,
get the fuck out of
spirits.
here. And it's like, you're not,
But
you're
really,
not doing
it's more
that.
like,
you're transforming it.
it's more like in Korra, the Avatar, like the not Airbender, the other Korra, the Legend of Korra. She like transmutes spirits into good spirits when they're bad. There's an audience out there who's like totally Shaheen.
100%. Yeah, there is. I'm not that person, but I'm listening to you with like, yes,
That's why we
exactly
balance
like
each
that.
other.
Yes, I hear you. So yeah, so remember that everything is a vibe. You can't make vibes disappear, but you can change them, which is key. Okay, so how do you catch a vibe? And here we go. I'm going to quote another article from the Harvard Business Review. So not Danya just making woo-woo shit up, but from the Harvard Business Review, an article by Melody Wilding, How to Stop Overthinking and Start Trusting Your Gut. So when you feel a vibe, you said that, you know, you're in a room. Where do you feel it in your body, Shaheen? Can I just like, do you feel it in your body, or you just like feel it in your brain? Maybe. I don't know.
After a few years of therapy, I've learned that I feel it in my stomach. There was a time in my life when I thought I felt it in my head.
Okay.
And it was very much in my head, but like as a metaphor. And now I realize it's very much like my core. For me, it's a little higher too.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it in your chest? It's
Underneath,
like right here under your ribs.
it's underneath my heart and above my belly button. For me,
It's
like
in your
kind of
solar
a central
plexus.
thing.
Yeah.
I've always felt very comfortable with my base chakras and like my head, but the bridge between them is a little more sensitive.
Okay, that makes absolute sense and actually connects right into this article. So essentially, and this is direct quotes, despite popular belief, there's a deep neurological basis for intuition. Scientists call the stomach the second brain for a reason. There's a vast neural network of 100 million neurons lining your entire digestive tract. That's more neurons than are found in the spinal cord, which points to the gut's incredible processing abilities. So when you get a gut feeling, you're not making that shit up. It's a real thing that you should
That is real.
trust.
It's not the same as feeling gassy.
It is
maybe
not.
Gas is also something to be aware of, though. Like
When you get into an Uber and the driver creeps you the fuck out, like immediately, you get in and your stomach is just like, you get the fuck out, get out, get out. I'm telling you right now, it's giving you important information, and you need to listen to it.
If you're on a date with someone and you've been there for like a little bit and they're giving you a feeling, it's okay to leave. You don't have to stay.
You don't have to be polite. You can get the fuck out of there. That's all I'm saying.
Listen to your gut.
Okay, another quote from that same article. When you approach a decision intuitively, your brain works in tandem with your gut. So they work together to quickly assess all of your memories, past learnings, personal needs, and preferences, and then makes the wisest decision given the context. In this way, intuition is a form of emotional and experiential data that leaders need to value. Straight up quote from the Harvard Business Review. So it's telling you, yes,
That's
sure.
very magic-y.
It is very magic-y, but it's supported by science. Your tummy, that gut feeling, and your brain are working together, and it's synthesizing that information together. You cannot only lead from your head. You have to use all of the data available to you to make the best decisions. That's all that needs to be said there.
I bet, if they were to tell me that a few years ago, he wouldn't have listened. But we have to move through the journeys that we all are on.
It's true. It's true.
Now my head feels very connected to my stomach. So.
Yeah, it's there. It feels, So for me,
I listen.
when I really want something or I'm like into it, I feel it in my sacral chakra. So kind of, you know, because
Mm.
I'm very womanly, let's say. And so I
Mm-hmm.
feel it definitely in that area. And when I need to say something, when I need to assert a boundary, when I need to, oftentimes it's speaking up for not only myself, but like everyone in the room. I literally, my throat starts to tingle. And so, you know,
Interesting.
at first, these things are subtle, but over time, the more you start checking in with your body and like listening to it, the signals become stronger. So just
Hmm.
maybe
You
think
just
about
reminded
that.
me too. I sometimes get like a vibe when I feel excited or like I'm learning something new and I feel like, oh, I feel the future of me being stronger and smarter for knowing this. Or if I see artwork that's really inspiring, it puts this feeling behind my throat. It puts
Mm.
this feeling like from my heart up my neck. Like I
Mm-hmm.
guess it's more of my heart, but it's like a connecting to my voice where it's like I want to be able to speak like that.
Yeah.
Like if I see artwork in a gallery where I'm like frustrated and I'm full of like, oh my god, this is so inspiring. There's like a feeling behind my neck.
You feel it like you want to express it. Like that's an
Yeah.
expressive part of you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You
it's like trying to
gotta.
burst but doesn't have anywhere to burst. Doesn't even have anything. It's just energy and trying to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And so I think for a
Hmm.
lot of creative people, we get these sorts of hits, but you know, a lot of people are just like, whatever, and just like keep going about their day. But like if
Yeah.
you start
Hmm.
to attune to these very real signals that your body is sending you, magic can be made. You know, it's
Hmm.
asking you to express it. So okay, so we talked about how we feel vibes, where vibes come from, what they are. You personally, Shaheen, when you know we were talking, how do you shift a vibe? Like what are like your personal ways that you can kind of like mix shit up when you're just like feeling a little like, ugh, what do you do?
I mean, I'm surrounded by plants, so I try and touch plants. I try
Mm-hmm.
and like, if I'm not repotting one, I'll like figure out if they need water or like consider repotting it anyways to keep myself busy and touching earthy things.
Hmm.
Um, Homemaking is also a nice distraction, but I feel I feel like I do other things. I'm not as active as I'd like to be. That was always a nice helpful thing. If I was getting into a place, I would just like focus on yoga or weightlifting or something. But yeah, I'd say it's more like I don't know, low
Nature.
key.
I mean, nature
How about
is
you?
like number fucking one,
Yeah,
right? Because uh,
nature is so
nature
healing for me.
nature's
Touching dirt
alive.
fixes my life. Yeah.
Nature is like a pure, you know, we get clouded by all the other bullshit that we have to deal with. We're like overstimulated, but nature is like, it's just
Hmm.
pure energy. It has the same
They're
energy.
growing too. These
They're
plants are like
alive.
full of a life inside of them and they need me. I was thinking about that the other day. Like
They
they
depend
need
on
me.
you,
It, yeah, they depend on me. They would die without me. So
but they
it's kind
also
of
provide
it's
you.
healing.
They clean
Yeah.
the air for you.
They give
So
me a purpose
there's a
and
mutual
also that.
relationship between us and the nature, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
absolutely. If I'm like very, because my main emotion is frustration. So if I am in that, I'm a big like beach walk type of person, but also I put on I'll put on my headphones and I'll put on like Big Sean and I'll just fucking dance it out.
Oh,
Yeah, music
that's a good
music
one
is
too.
also
You dance it out.
energy. So,
I was
yeah.
actually going to say the opposite.
What?
I put on headphones and turn off sound, and I also put on my eye covers, and I like go
Oh.
under the sheets, and I
You're
just
like
like to
sensory
turn
deprivation.
turn off all senses. Yeah, I actually recently traveled, and I loved that
To
while
go
traveling. If you
inside.
have noise canceling headphones
Yeah,
while you're in the middle of an airport, it changes everything. That's a
absolutely.
vibe shifter.
I've realized that on like when I come off of a long flight, I feel like actual resistance in my body to take the headphones off. Like as I'm walking through the, I'm like, I keep them on basically till I get to the car
safety.
because you've been in that metal tube in the sky, and then going into the airport can be quite overwhelming to your senses. So that
It's so loud, all of the noises,
and chaotic.
But
Airports
I like
are really
what you said about dancing too. Every once in a while, a TikTok will come around, and I'll be like, I actually should learn that dance where Megan Thee Stallion is doing the song to Adele. Like, I need to learn that.
Yes.
I feel like those
I know.
little
I don't
moments
know
can
that one.
really shift my day.
But I play that song a lot, that specific Adele song quite a bit,
The
and I just
Adele
kind of like
song?
shake to it, even though I don't know.
You're
the
gonna let
lyrics.
me down gently. That
Yeah,
song?
totally. That one.
Yeah.
Yes, that one. We
Yeah.
know.
You have to learn the Megan Thee Stallion dance to it. It really works.
So we've given, okay, so there's a lot of ways to shift a vibe: dancing, being in nature, exercising, because you're literally like metabolizing the energy, you're expending it.
That's a form of transmutation.
It sure is. I
Didn't
know
think
we're
of it
making
that
like
way.
really basic things magical,
Really
but that's what
obvious
brings
statements.
that's what brings magic to your life, is like looking at
Yeah.
the ordinary things in it and being like, actually, this is pretty amazing. We get like
Yeah.
desensitized to, you know, a lot of the beautiful and pretty simple stuff that we have access to.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, you know, we've been talking about vibes and that whole situation and like how to kind of shift them. And it's like, okay, I get it, Danya and Shaheen, whatever vibes, you know, you can shift them, but it's like, how does that help me get everything I want in this life? How does that, well, it's like, well, if you understand vibes, you can materialize potentially what you'd like to see out of your life. So we're going to talk about a couple different ways that you can manifest. And as usual, I'm going to give you the science behind it, because it's not just magic. Although we like to think that it's just magic, there is science that supports a lot of this as well. So
Science just proves magic.
science proves the things that
Arguably.
Shaheen and I just know. So there's
Yeah.
that. Okay, so let's talk about, we both went through a phase where we were doing the 3-6-9 method. I'm not a big fan of it, but do you want to explain what that is to folks?
Yeah, 369 is this method where if you write something 3 times and then 6 times and then 9 times, the order of those magical numbers together reiterate the goal or the intentions that you're trying to bring closer to you. So it's a fun practice. I thought it was fun to even just put yourself in the mindset of writing the same sentence over like 3 times is already work. But writing it 6 times and then 9 times, it actually I realized through the practice that it kind of put me in a place where I was realizing what I was asking for. And then I started to kind of change the wording throughout the day, and I was fine with that. I was like, it's okay if I'm changing the wording now, because I've changed since then, and it's interesting.
Yeah, it's the 3 in the morning, 6 midday, 9 at night. And we talked about this a little bit right before we started recording. But basically when you go to sleep, not the whole time, but a lot of the time, and even when you're in like a very deep meditative state, your brain goes into theta waves. And that, they say, is just like the most powerful brain waves. It allows you to kind of visualize and attract more of what it is that you're searching for. So the fact that you do it 9 times right before you go to bed is like, it's training your brain to fixate on your goals in a very real way, right? Because a lot of times we're like, you know, very basic. We'll be like, oh, my New Year's resolution is this. And then you don't fucking think about it at all ever again. And then the year goes by and you're like, oh yeah, what was last year's resolution? So this is about repetition. It's about keeping it at the forefront of your brain so that you can continue to align yourself with that. That's if you don't believe in the magic shit at all, it's like, yeah, but you need to focus and train your brain on your goals in order to make them happen.
Yeah. I just heard it this way in my head. I've never thought of it this way, but like some people need to, what's the words? Not see to believe, but like you have to do it to understand how it works. I lost my wording there, but it'll come back to me.
Yeah. The other one that I like love that you do, and I constantly talk to people about this, is like, I mean, I just coined it as like the worst thing about it, manifestation. But do you want to?
Yeah. The worst part of the best future. That's what I call it.
Exactly.
Yeah. The way that I practice this worst part of the best future is if you want something, you have to think about the worst part about that best thing that you love. So when I was trying to get a house a couple of years ago, I was looking into houses, and I was like, before I looked at houses, I was looking at apartments in the city, and I was like, wouldn't it be so nice if I had 2 toilets to clean? Like, if I had 2 toilets, that's a problem that I welcome into my life. I would love that problem, because 2 toilets means that I have 2 bathrooms, and
Means
that's
you have
such
space.
a luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was trying to put myself in that headspace, and I thought about it a lot. And then I started looking at homes in Sacramento, and I was, as I was looking at all these houses, I did keep thinking about how nice it would be to have a second toilet. And every time I saw a second bathroom, I was like, oh, what a terrible thing that I would have to deal with on Sundays. But then I started seeing houses with pools. And I think this is an interesting part of this story, because when I was looking at pools, I was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be so cool to have a pool? I would love to have a pool. But I never once considered the
Thought about
pain of
cleaning
having
that
a pool.
pool, paying someone to clean the pool.
I never put myself in the reality of the pool. I was just saying to the universe, I wish I had a pool. And the universe was hearing me say that and go, he wishes, he does not have. But he does have 2 toilets, and he hates cleaning that he's been saying that he wants that second toilet to be clean, and now I have a second bathroom that's disgusting. I fucking hate the second bathroom. But I got the space that I needed, and I need to renovate, and I need to save money to do that, and I manifested it, and I really believe this kind of practice helps.
Yeah. And so for me, I like, the reason I love this and I like talk to anyone about it is like, in order to manifest anything, it's less about like, I want a fucking $1 million. It's actually more about the feeling. What is $1 million actually? I mean, what's $1 million now? That's like not even a house in LA.
It's like,
but like
one Kylie lip kit.
Yeah. So what it actually is like, it means security. It means you want to feel safe. It means you want to live in beauty so that you can what? So you can continue to help people, so that you can create beautiful things. Like, there's a reason, like, money is neutral, and it's just a way for you to be comfortable in order to what? In order to help other people, or, you know, create, basically, is kind of how I see it. And so the more realistic that you get, like, even when we get the things that we want, that's the thing, is we forget there's always, like, life is not perfect. There's a duality there. That's what makes you appreciate the good things that you have, is like, oh yeah, there's like an uncomfortable piece of it, like, ugh, how annoying, like, I have to clean 2 bathrooms, but it's like, actually, how amazing is that, right? So I love this because it actually really puts you in that feeling. It puts you in that vibe.
In the reality of it. Yeah, in the vibe, in the reality of the vibe. Yeah,
It puts
brought
you
it so much closer to me. I got a house within like 7 months, which was really fucking hard to do during the time when the market's crazy.
Yeah, 100%.
But
So I love that. For me, like, and you know, we've been talking about the psychology of it, right? Is like the repetition, seeing it over and over, keeping these things at the forefront of your mind, because it keeps you focused on being able to attain your goals. And for me, one of my favorite methods, so I'm more of a writer. I'm into aesthetics and love beautiful things because, you know, my Libra placements and all of that. But I'm ruled by Mercury. I'm a Virgo. Words, words, words. That's my shit. And so for me, my like prime method of manifesting things is to write my perfect day narrative. So what that looks like, I've only done it twice since I learned about it. I've done it twice. And the first time I did it in 2018, I was living in San Francisco at the time, was paying like such expensive rent, and like sharing a space, you know, with somebody else, had a roommate, was not, you know, making the amount of money I wanted to make. Like, it was just like, it wasn't bad, but it was just like definitely like a learning experience for me living up there. And my manifestation was like very clear. So you write like top, you know, beginning of your day to the end of the day, what does your perfect day look like? Like to, you know, the details of when you're telling yourself a very vivid story. So from the moment you wake up, what does the room that you're in look like? Who is in that bed next to you? Do you have pets? Is the sun shining? Like, what is the feeling of that room? What do you have for breakfast? What are you doing for a living? What kind of movement? What does your hair look like? What does your skin look like? What like, I get so
Make it really
fucking
real. Yeah.
detailed. I'm telling myself a
You're
very
basically
vivid
watching
story.
a movie.
I am watching a movie. I am creating that movie for myself. And so the one that I came up with in 2018, like, I live inside that reality now. I'm going to be really real with you. I was single at the time.
You said 2018?
It took a little while, but by
That's
2020,
crazy. I have a whole other side story. I'm going to let you finish, but I also have a manifestation list from 2018.
The one from 2018, I basically had it became real for me in 2020. Like, and yeah, it took a fucking pandemic for a lot of these things to materialize in our life, or in my life. But I didn't have a dog. My boyfriend came with a dog that I love. And, you know, I talked about meditating in the morning. I talked about making avocado toast and coffee with him. I talked about living in a neighborhood where I knew everyone. And like, I had a friend come over on Sunday, and we went to like the local coffee shop and to like I walk everywhere. And she was like, "You're like the fucking mayor." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I know." Yeah, no, I realize what I've created for myself. And yeah, so that was that. And then about a year ago, beginning of 2022, I wrote a new one because I realized that it was true, that everything had come true. And I got to tell you, I'm moving towards that one that I wrote at the beginning of 2022. Even like some decisions I didn't consciously make, but were made for me, are moving me in the direction of that life.
That's crazy. Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. Yeah. What's your side story?
I don't remember exactly the list, but I have it somewhere. I'll find it another time and tell you. But I have like this piece of like paper, like binder paper, where I wrote 2018 goals or intentions. And from the top down, I remember I wrote something like, I have an amazing house with a backyard and amazing friends, and I have a beautiful dog that the world sees as a perfect dog. And and I wrote down all these things that I'm like, I have all these things now. Like, I've actually become that. And I remember when I was writing that, I was not that person. But to this point, I was saying about the 369, I didn't get the words out correctly. Out of sight, out of mind. But in your mind, it might become in your sight.
It's coming into your
sight.
So
if you do something, practice it, or like write it down and put it up on a wall that you see every day, it'll be in your mind, and it'll manifest more likely.
100%. And that's so the perfect day. You can't do that over and over. Like, that for me is like, you do it. I do it kind of every couple years. And I think because I'm so like tuned into stuff, I think the pace at which things happen is accelerating, right? Like I said, you know, it took me about 2.5 years kind of the last time. And now within just a year, like, shit's like really kind of moving pretty quickly. But what I pair the perfect day with, which is the thing that you can kind of, you know, I look at my narrative probably once or twice a week just to like really like remind myself. But obviously I also have it memorized. But, you know, I kind of relook at it, whatever. The other thing, I'm a big vision board gal. And there actually is research in the vision board because I like to pair the story with the visuals, right? Like I have...
Yeah.
If you search for me, you can find my Pinterest, and I have I have a vision board every year. I always put together a vision board, and it's very detailed. It's like I pin things of like the color, like I said, the color of my hair, the texture of my skin, like outfits. Like if I know I'm going to weddings that year, I pin outfits of what I'd like to wear to that wedding, which you're like, that's just styling. That's what everybody uses Pinterest for. And I'm like, no, but then like,
no, but
I find that dress exactly
for it to be remembered. Yeah. And I imagine I feel like I've watched the show or a movie about like manifestation, and if you use imagery on a vision board, you're likely to possibly get that exact image in your possession. If it's a picture of shoes or a house or whatever,
A
It might be
hundred
the
percent.
thing that comes up, not just a version of it, but the thing.
The thing. Oh, definitely. Like in 2019, I put, or 20, maybe 2018, the first year I did it, I put a very specific hotel I wanted to go to in Panama because my nails, like the lady who did my nails in Beverly Hills, like went to this hotel. And so I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I pinned it on my board. That's exactly where I went for my birthday, like, you know, a year later. And like,
I love
yes,
this.
you might just say, well, that's you were planning a trip, but it's like, okay, it focused me enough to save the money to make sure I was going there. It like really focused me on that goal of having
Yeah.
that experience. You know, it wasn't just like, oh, I'd like to do that, and then I just kind of fucking moved on with my day. It was like, no, so not only do I pin the pictures on Pinterest, but then I used to print them out and put them on a big cork board in my room that faced my bed
Yeah.
that I would wake up and just fucking stare at every day, and I would meditate in
Me
front of
too.
it, and I
We
kept
gotta
it.
do this again.
Yeah, I don't. So I mean, now I live with my partner, and when I gave up the like physical vision board, but I have there. I don't know if you've seen it, Shaheen, but in the new Apple update, they have it's called Freeform. It's a whiteboard
Oh,
on
I
your
haven't seen
phone.
it.
So I now have it. I took all the pictures from my vision board and I put them on my phone. So I look
Oh,
at
that's fun.
yeah, I
Yeah.
look at it every day,
You get to see
and
it
you know,
all in
kind of
one.
after I've meditated, and it's just like, yeah, I'm consciously focusing my brain on that. And okay, from Psychology Today, I'm going to go back to the science just to like ground this in for y'all. Initial research suggests it can help us more easily reach our goals with a vision board. This may be due to how vision boards help us gain self-awareness and self-reflect on what is important to us. That's another thing, is like a lot of people have a hard time identifying what it is they want. And if you have no idea what it is that you want, you can't get what you want. So this is able to give you your values and reorient your thinking around them on a very consistent basis. Vision boards may also help us imagine what a positive future could look like for us. Imagining a positive future is a helpful way to increase positive emotions and optimism. And positive emotions often create opportunities and increase the chances of success. Even though this research doesn't directly assess the benefits of making a vision board, it suggests that many of the components of vision boarding have potential benefits for our well-being and success. It's just key to
That's
remember,
so fun.
right? It's key to remember that vision boards are not magic. Rather, they can help you better understand what it is you'd like to manifest. I disagree. They
But
are
wouldn't you
magic.
wouldn't you say that you just define them as the most magical thing ever?
Yeah, sure. Let's
Psychology
say they're
Today.
not magic.
Like,
But-
it's not the vision board that does it, but it's you doing vision boarding that does it. But just like listen to
A
us.
equals
this is
B,
science.
but A does not equal C somehow. A equals B, B equals
Yeah.
C, but it's
Yeah.
exactly. That's what this woman, the psychologist
that.
said. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's like, the scientists are not gonna like me saying this. I have to back myself up.
But the act of making the board is good for
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, it makes sense too. I like how this whole like topic of discussion has kind of been like a mix of like really obvious stuff paired with like really metaphysical stuff, but those things are the same conversation. The same
Reality
thing.
woo woo. It's in the fucking name.
Reality is woo woo.
Like, it's all, that's what we're trying to tell you.